5 minutes.
Hi. Thank you, and thank you for everything you do. I'd just like to get some sort of level setting on what you've been facing in recent. It's my understanding that your Inspector General in the Federal Reserve has not yet been fired. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you've not also had the high-level resignations of senior personnel as they've had in Treasury. Nothing like that. So
no, nothing like that.
No, as of yet, no. And so no examples of, junior personnel being given administrative access to your systems, your technical systems.
Are you talking now about the payment systems that
payment systems or other technical systems?
No.
Email systems?
No.
Anything like that?
None of that.
Okay. All right. So far you've not suffered through what Treasury has. Have you had any inquiries from other central bankers or commercial bankers from around the world about, what can we, uncertainty about whether the Federal Reserve will be able to continue doing its job if you suffer the same sort of intrusion that Treasury did?
I haven't. No,
you haven't. They haven't called you up and said, well, what the heck is going on? Do we have to defend ourselves against, unknown software being installed on the system? So
I haven't had any such calls.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We've also seen calls to resumption of calls to audit the Fed. All right, which is, as you can remember from that gentleman up on the wall there, this was a big theme of, and first off, the Fed does get audited, correct?
We are audited in the sense that everyone understands that word to mean, which is we have a big four accounting firm who looks at our books and gives us an opinion, does an audit, and publishes that opinion. That's all public.
Right, and it's my recollection there have never been any big problems uncovered in
No, we actually have quite a simple business model, although we have a large balance sheet. We're like a big community bank, only with no credit risk and very simple.
So in the ordinary sense, talk of auditing the Fed is
fully audited.
No sense. It makes no sense. But what was really meant, certainly during the time when we were talking a decade ago, I guess, it was really all about micromanaging Fed monetary policy. That they said we want to audit the monetary policy, which doesn't really make sense since it's a policy thing. Do you have any indication of whether the resumption of calls to audit the Fed will be, audits or some new effort to politically micromanage the monetary policy?
I have no way of knowing. Really what it is the GAO is free to work on every area of the Fed except monetary policy, and does so. We have GAO reports, all over the place over many years, but they don't audit monetary policy. And, what the threat would be if that were to go away, you'd have investigations into decisions on monetary policy, and that would be a different thing. I think it was designed by its designer to be a step on the way to eliminating the Fed.
That is correct. Yeah, the calls to end the Fed came from the same wing of the Republican Party, and I guess still exists. I think we're up to something like 20 Republican sponsors of the end of the Fed bill. Let's see, I was sort of surprised to see that the word tariff only occurred twice in your monetary policy report, whereas if you look at financial trade journals, it's mentioned 5 times above the fold. And for those that read hard copies. So, this must be a very hard thing for you to deal with because, as you're aware, Trump's tariffs and other trade policies put us in a manufacturing recession a year before COVID hit. And so this is not a small thing if these resume. But you have to sort of filter out the chaotic noise and the guidance that varies hour by hour or week by week. So how do you actually filter that? You say correctly that, well, let's wait to see what the actual policies are. But then that depends. If you listen, one day you get these are the actual policies. At some point you have to feed these into your macro models of what happens. And how do you do that filtering when there's just so much random noise on the signal?
Well, I think it's straightforward now in the sense that no one knows pretty much what the exact policies will be. That's still evolving, and so you can't really take action. You can do analysis of various hypothetical things, and we've been doing a lot of that. But ultimately, it matters what happens. What's tariffed, for how long? Are there substitutes? There's many questions that will have to be answered, and even then, the question will be how much of that will transfer to the consumer. As you know, that can fall on the exporter, the importer, the retailer.